Today's digital world presents a stark challenge. How do we know what's real? It's no longer just about recognizing a scammer's unfamiliar voice or their bad grammar. The enemy is now a perfect digital clone, and we need completely different examples to understand the threat and the solution. Imagine you are a finance director at a major architecture firm. You receive a video call that appears to be from your chief financial officer. The face is correct, the voice is correct, and the other people on the call seem to be other senior executives. The CFO asks you to make an urgent, confidential wire transfer for a merger and acquisition that you're making. The request is unusual because it's off the cuff, but the faces and voices are so familiar that you don't even question it. You authorize the transfer of $25 million. You work for a big company. Later, you discover the entire video call was a deepfake and the money has completely vanished. This is not a hypothetical story that I'm just making up. A very similar event happened to a real company called Arup, which fell victim to a deepfake video call scam. This type of attack is incredibly effective because it bypasses traditional security protocols and leverages the ultimate social engineering tool, a seemingly perfect impersonation of someone you trust. This type of attack does not need to happen on a large-scale $25 million business. This can happen with your grandma, with your mom, with you, with $5, $10, $15, $20 when they're impersonating people that you know. This even happens within political manipulation. In the lead up to a very recent election, a robocall was sent to voters using an AI-generated voice that was an exact replica of a prominent political leader. The message encouraged voters to stay home and not vote in the upcoming primary. This attack was not about stealing money, it was about eroding public trust and manipulating voter behavior on a massive scale. It demonstrates that the threat of deepfakes extends far beyond financial fraud to the very foundation of democratic processes. So how do we counter an attack that can mimic our trusted human connections? The answer lies in moving away from the single, centralized points of failure that make us so vulnerable. Our current digital identity is like having a single key to every lock you own, and that key is stored in a public, easily accessible lockbox. Anyone who can compromise that one lockbox can get access to everything. Here is where the blockchain is introduced. Blockchain-based decentralized identity flips that model completely on its head. Instead of just centralizing data, it creates an immutable, distributed record of trust. Now let's break that down. A good example of this principle in action is the verification of academic credentials. Let's say a university issues a digital diploma to a student. Instead of that university storing this diploma on its own centralized server, it issues a cryptographic credential to the student's digital wallet. This credential contains a public key linked to the university's identity on the blockchain. When an employer wants to verify the diploma, the student shares the credential directly from their wallet. The employer system checks the blockchain, not the university, to confirm that the diploma was indeed issued by the legitimate university. This verification is completely instant, completely tamper-proof, and doesn't require the employer to trust the student's word or contact the university directly. It's a system where trust is established cryptographically, not through a centralized authority. So you don't have to reach out through a middleman, have a third-party verification, or any sort of person-to-person contact where things can get meddled or messed up. Now, this principle can be applied to your personal interactions. Your unique identity isn't stored in a single database that can be hacked. Instead, a cryptographically secure proof of your identity is stored on a distributed ledger. When a scammer tries to impersonate you, their deepfake lacks the ability to generate the cryptographic signature required for verification. This can extend to everything all the way down to social media posts. We all know that AI has been on an exponential rise, and the ability to determine what is real or what is fake is becoming increasingly unclear. If you think about how far we've come within the past 2 to 3 years with image and video generation, we are pretty much almost to the point of it being indistinguishable from reality. So when somebody posts on social media, now we automatically ask the question, is this real or is this AI generated? And a lot of times people just resort to saying it's AI generated because they don't know the difference. So this can even be perfectly woven into our everyday social media interactions by verifying these posts come from legitimate people that are actually on the blockchain, and you can track the metadata of the video to show its origination. So that means the video origination will be able to be tracked down to the app that it was created from, and then you can tell if it comes from an AI generated source. That would all happen completely on the back end with you completely unaware of what's going on, but on the front end, you're just going to see a little check mark that says, yep, this was verified by the blockchain. We trace the video origination all the way back to a verified creator or a verified source that can prove this is not AI generated content. And all of this can be verified with an automated check against the blockchain, exposing the fraud immediately. In this model, you are the sole owner of your identity, and you give permission for others to verify its authenticity, all without exposing sensitive information to some sort of third party. So essentially, with AI, it is going to become increasingly and increasingly more difficult to establish what's real, what's fake, and what could even be a combination of the two. Think social media posts, think blog articles, newspaper articles, videos, pictures, everything that you interact with thousands of times on a daily basis is going to be linked to the blockchain so you can prove its authenticity. So if you think AI is going to have any part in our future, which I think right now it'd kind of be foolish to say that it won't, because pretty much every big tech company, Facebook, Apple, Google, Amazon, Tesla, all of those companies are turning to AI solutions, then you need to know without blockchain, this path that we're on is not really possible. We will get to a point where everybody is so confused about what's real and what's not that people will start to mistrust all the information that they read online now. So AI and the blockchain essentially go hand in hand, and to build a better future for our financial institutions, for our social media institutions, and for just information intake on a whole, I promise you that blockchain is going to become an essential part of that framework and infrastructure. If you guys found this type of content interesting, I would appreciate a like, drop a comment letting me know your thoughts on the direction we are headed as a society in regards to AI and the blockchain and how those two things are going to work in tandem with each other. As always, this has been Jake, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.